Hello, you're back with Dave and Tim at the Single Malt Review for another Nordic whiskey from our BBR tasting set.
Yes, indeed. And this one, we are going back to Denmark with Stauning, which I may or may not be saying correctly. Who's to say? The comments section, usually. And this one is going to be a weird one. These have all been, well, some of them have been more conventional than we expected, but they've all been a wee bit different. This one is going to be very different. This is a single rye whiskey, and it's finished in a Muscatel.
Yeah.
Have you ever tried a finished rye whiskey? I don't think so. I don't think many people have at all. This is a very, very odd approach. So this is going to be kind of a trip.
Yeah. Stauning were established around 2005, not too far from the village of Stauning. And yeah, they have quite a big operation now, a couple of dozen casks, producing, call it about 1 million litres a year. Is that right?
Damn near, 900,000. We were, it was, you think Scandinavian distilling, and you think it's going to be, you know, the shed out the back of a brewery or something, and it is in many cases. But this one's huge. Yeah. This one's bigger than many of the small, even mid-tier. I mean, this is. Ardbeg is only 1.3 million, so they're pretty jolly close to some of the really big production distilleries in Scotland. And the original sort of idea, the original shtick for this one, founded way back when by a group of Danish whiskey enthusiasts, and my goodness, they can get enthusiastic in the Scandi countries about their whiskey, as anyone who follows whiskey YouTube will know all too well. It was built to produce an Ardbeg-like whiskey, or it's been compared with Ardbeg-like whiskey. I guess it was built to produce an Islay style of whiskey, which is an admirable sort of thing to do. It's probably a bit cheaper to build your own distillery and make your own whiskey than it is to fork out for good Islay whiskey these days. And I'm not even kidding, depending on how much you want. So good on them for that. Let's see how close it is. This one presumably will not be, because it's not single malt at all. It's rye whiskey, and if it's peated rye whiskey, I'm really going to lose it. And because
peating is all done with locally sourced peat. They also smoke their barley and rye using local heather sometimes, so you get some literal florals in there potentially. Now this is only 5 or so years old, but look at that colour. I'll get it nice and close. That is a very dark gold. That's impressive. Well, I've had similarly colourful American aged rye whiskey as well. So
well, this has been in a barrel, which we can only assume is bourbon barrel. Assuming that was first fill and then it's been recast into Muscatel
hogshead.
Then it should have had plenty of wood to go round. So
the tasty notes. Going back to the book again.
Right, it's not peated. We're safe. We're okay.
Yeah. We're looking for a luscious sherry and spicy rye, creating a whirlpool of aromas with notes of thick jam on Icelandic-style rye bread, new leather, cigar papers, mace, and rocket leaf.
Okay, I've never sniffed a whirlpool, but otherwise,
cigar papers is an odd one, being that the cigars aren't made of paper, but I assume we're talking about the wrappers here.
Yeah, the wrappers.
Okay.
I haven't smelled those either. I've never been in a cigar place of manufacture. Well, oh goodness me, Scotia.
And right, on the palate, looking for chewy slabs of licorice, fruit loaf, and black pepper. Moving into a sweeter profile led by figs and rich toffee, my favourite kind of toffee.
Okay.
Then the rye really shines through on the finish, with a perfect balance of spicy and savoury rye notes.
What evocative tasting notes! I have a bit of a fun of some tasting notes. Those ones stuck to the basics. Those are all good descriptive ones.
They conclude by telling us this is a monster of a dram from the giants of Danish distillation.
Okay.
Oh, that smells incredible. Yeah.
It's also cask strength. So
pipe tobacco. It smells like a newly opened tin of pipe tobacco. That is amazing.
It does, rather, yeah. That extremely sweet, extremely sweet, savoury kind of a thing. People think, if you've never smelled fresh tobacco, it's quite an experience. People smell cigarette smoke and they think, oh, that's what it's going to smell like, sort of a thing. But unburned tobacco, that almost smells like like a sweet fruit and nut mixture kind of a thing. Now, this thing is very weird.
Oh, I should mention similar cask strength to the other Scandi whiskies we tried at 58.9. So slightly lower than the other two older whiskies we tried most recently. So
but conspicuously, it seems like every cask shakes out, no matter the age, at round about that strength.
We've had high 50s,
We've had 2 59s and now a high 58. Intriguing.
Oh, let's try it at full strength.
that's really sweet.
Oh, blimey.
That's
yeah.
very, very sweet. Rye is a sweet spirit to begin with.
And hot, too. That is spiced. Wow. There's a lingering habanero chili kind of a heat, too. That's...
Yeah,
wow.
I think that's going to need a wee bit of water.
It's peppery, nutty, earthy, a little bit fruity.
It's got
very
a
gingery.
great length. That's still going on and evolving though. But yeah, very, very sweet.
Right.
Almost quite syrupy, really.
Another sip at full strength because I guess either I'm a masochist or I just want to know.
Why not both? That's actually dried it out a wee bit with the water. That's quite strange. Okay. Now it's a bit more approachable. There's a hell of a lot of char on it now. Supreme amount of char. That's probably coming through from the bourbon. I'm not sure if they've been recharred casks or not, but that's very, very charcoaly. And yeah, curiously drying with that addition of water. That really syrupy, honeyed sweetness has dropped back a wee bit, and there is drier, more tannic flavours coming
I'm getting
through.
more of the sweetness now. Probably because that just the sheer heat has been tempered. That's almost entirely gone. It's now just a smooth, cool, slightly mentally icy, spicy hit.
So yeah, it's a bit of a shame this isn't their... I mean, this is beautiful rye whiskey, but in terms of, we're not really getting much of a profile of the distillery. If this is clearly something they've made entirely secondarily to what they're normally making.
A lot of their output is a mixture of rye and barley, and there's quite a bit of it repeated, but some unpeated as well.
But thinking of other rye whiskies we've tasted, this is really pretty stunning. This is,
I
would have said, if you had said, "Oh, we're making a Muscatel finished rye whiskey," that's going to go too sweet. That's going to be undrinkable. And maybe without water, it's trending in that direction. But yeah, with a bit of a splash, this is really, really pretty good, and it's still really quite sumptuous and fulsome in its flavours.
It is unmistakably rye, but it has so much sort of unique, I assume, local flair of its own.
Yeah, this really does make me want to try their typical output, the whiskey that's been crafted to mimic Isla whiskies, presumably peated, presumably quite coastal and tangy. That I would be fascinated. And of all of them, if any of them is going to be available, it's going to be this one, because it's an order of magnitude huger than all of the others. This has got to be the biggest Scandinavian whiskey distillery. I'm certain of it. I can probably claim that one in the blind, even though I haven't looked up. It just doesn't seem likely that there's going to be a bigger one than this. And the scale of that production means if anything's going to find their way down, it should be this one.
There will be probably an abundance of peated rye heavy whiskey, and it'll be probably unique, almost unique in the world, I'd expect.
Unless you count, what was that? I thought it was awful that we ended up with burnt stick. The one that was rye and Isla whiskey blended together. What was it called?
Oh, that was that was
someone remembers out there.
That was a bourbon and
jolly
Scotch hybrid
travesty of whiskey.
Yeah.
So ideally not like that, but yeah, that's my closest point of contact for anything involving those grains and peat.
And then with local peat adding to the local flavour, so it'll be, I'm sure, a masterclass and a masterpiece.
Yeah. Scores for this ones are going to be challenging. We don't have a supreme amount of telemetry, I guess you'd say, with rye whiskies. We've tried some really, really good ones, but we haven't tried many. And I think problematically, we haven't tried any bad ones. We've tried really amazing ones from as far as Canada all the way to Australia, but they have been uniformly really, really pretty good, if not outstanding. The Archie Rose one was just world-breaking in terms of just how good it was. This one is not quite that good. It's more interesting than it is an absolute exercise in rye perfection. It is an 84 from me. What do you think?
Well, this will be fractionally lower than my other recent scores for this tasting set, but it is 88 from me.
So it's still pretty stout stuff in terms of quality rye whiskey.
It's beguiling, intriguing, and just satisfying too.
We haven't looked up the prices because we didn't want to colour our blind tasting opinions. But if any of them is going to be cheaper than the rest, it's probably going to be this one, just because of the scale of production.
But again, this being a bespoke BBR single cask, independent bottling will be obviously a different matter entirely, but as for their conventional output, their standard range, there may be more options and more competitive prices.
Absolutely. So yeah, we will have to hunt out some more from this one and see if we can get their core expression or something closer to it. Anyway, one more to go, and it's you could call it the big one because it's all of them together. It's the Scandi, the Face Off. What is it, Scotia? Yeah. Right. Well, she thinks the video's over, and it is. So stop.